All right, so it's the end of the month, and that means it's time to have a look at the monthly candles and do a weekly strategy video outlining the first week of August. So let's see what we've got. Starting on the monthly chart of gold, there is still that strong inside bar reversal. So at some point, I would expect to see a downward move. But last week, obviously, we hit some lower time frame swing extremes and the prices went up, which is what I expected anyways. If you watched my previous weekly strategy video, you will see what I was saying there. But yeah, so on the monthly chart, nothing much to speak of. It's basically consolidating, and that can mean the creation of a distribution phase. And that's when basically the market goes sideways. What follows that usually is the phase 4, and that's liquidation, meaning a drop. Whether that's the case or not remains to be seen, but we are a little bit in the middle of nowhere, so I wouldn't be surprised if this makes an attempt at reaching some, some lower risk areas when it comes to swing extremes and stuff. So yeah, not much there to read. End of the month, they did a sell-off, and that sell-off happened from a nearby supply. However, the inside bar here, it's not really the strongest, and usually what happens with inside bars, more often than not, is that they are a start of some kind of a consolidation. Yes, they can signal a reversal as well, so you can have further downside, but literally, like statistically speaking, when you take, a larger sample size, usually they're the start of the consolidation. So I would expect to see a little bit more upside before gold moves anywhere else. That's pretty much it, short and sweet for gold. Let's have a look at crude oil. Monthly chart of crude oil, there is a supply at these levels. However, for now, the market participants are completely ignoring it. There was a reaction, but it was quickly pulled back by this massive buying wick on the weekly chart. Another visible supply from the weekly. But again, limited reaction, lots of buyers still around, demand still reactive. And yeah, I would probably expect to see this break at some point, but we'll see what happens. Daily chart. The price is coming up, still coming up to this conterminous line on the daily. Again, I was talking about this in the previous video, and I was saying that if we get some kind of a reaction from there, it would be a good idea to go short. But there was no reaction from it. Such a minimal reaction, and it's still a bullish candle making a higher high and also closing the day higher. It would be a bit dangerous to just blindly keep buying now, because you do have some opposing areas that are coming up. So yes, wait and see would be my approach here, like for anything. I want to see what happens here. If there is a reaction come Monday, Tuesday, then obviously I'm going to go down with that, going for sustained auctions downwards and all of that good stuff. But basically, on the large time frames for now, they're still trying to push into this. Still trying. And finally, let's have a look at equities. Both ES and NQ just shooting up, making new higher highs, closing the month much higher. Some slowdown, limited slowdown on ES. You have this doji. A lot of the times when you have a doji on such large time frames, it means a continuation. So, there was some demand here, just an immediate conterminous line. One of my dogs really wants to come into the office. Which is what the scratching is, if you can hear that. Very loud scratches on the door. Let me in, D. I want to do a weekly strategy video. So yeah, so reaction from the nearby conterminous line. This is not like a full-on demand that you see here, but they are those like reactive areas that you need to keep in mind whenever you're kind of in a very strong uptrend or downtrend. You need to be aware of where your nearest conterminous lines are. That's my concept. Explained quite thoroughly in the Pro Dev, but also in the Udemy course on supply and demand. Okay, so daily chart, for me, this looks like, again, a slowdown. Now, in this case, somebody might say, oh, it's a drop base, maybe drop. I don't think so. Look at this candle. It's basically making another push, sort of trying to make another push to the upside. They didn't quite get there, but they gave it a good go. Some pivotal reactions, some sellers were here, but I think that was just like an overreaction to FOMC, the fact that, you know, they kind of said some stuff about the bond purchases. They've started the clock, whatever the bloody hell that might mean. But yeah, I suppose at some point they will start to taper the bond purchases, so maybe that was the reaction to that. A little bit of fundamentals there for you. But yeah, for now that's not happened yet, so I would expect to see a little bit more upside in the coming weeks in equities. And if not, you will see that by the profiles. You know, profile will start to have days where you open below the profile. You will start to see a lot more sustained auctions to the downside. And I mean, all that's been happening recently is just you have a failed auction and then it kind of shoots up. So today we definitely opened below value. But yeah, they just couldn't keep it below value. So that gap started to get closed sort of towards the later parts of the session. But yeah, it was a bit of a boring session actually on ES, and pretty boring on NQ as well. And it's the end of the month, so it should have been like more reaction. So that's why I'm kind of thinking they're probably going higher. The volumes weren't that great either. Again, very unusual for the final day of the month. So all of this to me just spells like a bit of a slowdown before a bit more upside. And I think that's largely going to be my strategy until they start to taper the bond purchases. And then you will have a bit more of a fundamental reason why you might want to sell equities. But until that happens, you know, if you see an opportunity for long, I would take it. And that's pretty much it. Very short, very sweet, clear analysis in all of these products. So yeah, onwards and upwards. Let's see what August brings. But August can be very quiet, so don't rush into it. If you see an inside day or, you know, large initial balance and stuff, try to maybe stay away from days like that across the board, whatever you're trading, because that usually means that the day is not going to bring too many opportunities, because that's all indicative of responsive activity, meaning boring day, in range, not going to go anywhere. So yeah, don't get caught in that. Right, that's it for me. Have a good one, and I will see you guys very soon.